Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ok Xoomer. I'm your host, Aaron Licting, Xometry guy and former Jeopardy champion, and I'm here today with Ben Lachman. Now, Ben is the co-creator of Orbital Index, which is, according to Ben, the internet's best newsletter covering space science and the burgeoning space industry. It's a really exciting newsletter, and full disclosure, Xometry is one of the early sponsors of this newsletter, and we're really excited to be one. So Ben, great to have you here. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for being one of our very first sponsors. We really appreciate it.
Cool. So tell us about Orbital Index and why you decided to start it.
For sure. So we definitely hope to be, that's kind of aspirational about being the internet's best space newsletter for technical folks. We really do write with an eye towards the technical side, the space science side, the exploration side of the space industry, and that kind of goes back to our origin story. My co-creator Andrew Cantino and I have actually known each other forever. We literally met as in pre-K, and which is kind of a cool, fun story. You don't hear it that often, but we grew up watching Star Trek together and Nova together, and being really into all the space shuttle launches. As adults, we have always stayed in touch. And a couple years back, we were talking about Andrew's idea to start writing a space newsletter, and we kind of both carried that youthful interest and exuberance for the space industry, forward into our professional careers. Not necessarily as our focus. I've mostly been in product and energy, and Andrew mostly has been in general software. Although he had made the transition a few years earlier into satellite ground control software, and so it was kind of this way of coming back and rekindling our interest in space and doing something that was additive for the industry. We didn't see a newsletter out there that was really diving into the technical side, and not just covering the latest greatest news, which we love. What SpaceX landed last week was amazing. But we wanted to hit those cool exploration missions that are happening, the neat science that's happening on Mars, et cetera, et cetera.
What excites you about the future of space and aerospace science in general?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the ones that has been top of mind for me has been ISRU, or in situ resource utilization. It's where you take the materials you find on another celestial body and you use them for something. Usually you use them for making it nicer for humans to be there is the goal. So
I had a conversation about a year ago with a guest on this show who talked about 3D printing on Mars and taking 3D printers up to Mars and using Martian dust to construct structures on the Martian surface.
Yeah, so that's totally ISRU. That's using Martian regolith to build habitats, right? The one that we just saw demonstrated on Mars for the very first time was oxygen generation. So we took the Martian atmosphere, which is very thin and not good for humans, and we were able to generate a very, very, very tiny amount of oxygen on the Perseverance rover. It's called the MOXIE experiment. If anybody wants to kind of dig in and look at it, it's a really, really neat, probably my most favorite science experiment on the rover. We also see things like Ingenuity, right? The helicopter flying on Mars, and that's super exciting because it's another mode of exploring a celestial body that we've never had in our toolkit before. So it's I think also kind of a precursor to one of my favorite long-term missions out there called Titan, which is going to Titan, and it's called Dragonfly. It's a big quadcopter that runs on a similar radioisotope thermal generator, just like a Perseverance. But it flies around this moon in a methane atmosphere. It's absolutely like technically brilliant, and won't get there until the mid 2030s, but super cool to think about regardless.
Cool. So Orbital Index, it is a newsletter, it is a website. What is next for Orbital Index? What's the future of your kind of product pipeline?
Yeah, it's something that we're thinking a lot about right now, and we don't have anything like super concrete to announce right now. Things that are kind of in the hopper that we are kind of willing to like put out there that we would like to do and are happy to talk to people about doing together, because we really enjoy that kind of like partnership aspect. Are longer form pieces. So we for a long time, we've really wanted to be able to take more time to dive into different like topical areas. One that we have done previously is around space funding, particularly for new space startups. So if you're wanting to get into the kind of new space industry with a startup, what are your funding options? That's hosted on the website right now, orbitalindex.com, and you can just click into space funding. We have a couple other features that are kind of like in progress that we'll see coming out over the next few months. We also are looking to add some more kind of more real-time interactive features. We'll kind of see what form that takes. What platform is kind of best suited to talking about space in real time. But I think that's a natural next step for the community, right? Instead of just a once a week put a newsletter out there, it's kind of opening up the feedback and conversation between readers in a more natural way.
Kind of person would be your ideal subscriber? Who would you want to subscribe to Orbital Index?
Yeah, so I mean, we welcome everybody, obviously, but it's a key part of what we do is try to be very technical about how we write about space. We're not afraid to write about astrophysics. We're not afraid to write about the scientific process behind MOXIE, right? And how it actually works. It's basically a reversed solid oxide fuel cell. So, people that are interested in that like deep technical side of space are the perfect reader. And that usually means that they're either in the space industry in some way already. We have people that are, PIs for some of NASA's largest missions that are readers, which we love. We have people that are, just starting out as founders of new space startups, which is amazing. And we have people that are engineers at some of the very largest aerospace prime contractors out there that are readers. That's all great. We also have a pretty large contingent of people that I think kind of like myself have mostly been in another industry, but are very interested in that technical nature of space and are maybe like space curious, right? They're interested in potentially changing the industries into new space, and I think that makes up a pretty interesting segment of our readership as well.
Awesome. Well, Ben, thank you so much for starting Orbital Index. Viewers, you go to orbitalindex.com if you'd like to subscribe. I would highly recommend it. And Xometry, we're really excited to be among Orbital Index's first few sponsors and excited to see what you do in the future.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back in another couple days with another episode of OK Xoomer. Stay safe and stay healthy, everybody.